Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You guys sent in so much awesome stuff about smarter studying in this digital age.
Yeah, it's a ton.
There really is.
Yeah.
Articles, blog posts. I even saw some of your own personal notes in the submissions.
It is really interesting to see what everyone's thinking about.
Exactly. So we're going to sift through all of this and find some really good takeaways for you guys.
Absolutely, there's a lot of great stuff.
So let's jump right in. Uh, I think a lot of people have already experimented with this first one,
Yeah.
digital flashcards and spaced repetition.
Yeah.
Those apps like Quizlet and Anki, have you used those
Oh,
before?
yeah, for sure. They're so popular and for good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just that they're convenient, you know?
Right, having them on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to carry around a stack of cards,
Right.
but there's actual science behind how they work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they use algorithms based on the spacing effect.
Huh.
And it's this psychological phenomenon. It basically shows that the more you space out your review of material, the better you'll remember it long term.
So it's not cramming, basically.
Exactly, yeah. Consistent review over time is much more effective.
That makes sense, but sometimes I gotta say, using those pre-made flashcard decks feels a bit, I don't know.
Generic.
Yeah, a little generic.
I know what you mean, but I think that's where the real power of these apps
Okay.
comes in.
Right.
Like with Anki, you can customize it so much.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You can tweak the algorithm. You can add images and audio to your flashcards.
Wow.
There are even these add-ons that make Anki, like, super powerful.
So it's not just like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing?
No, not at all. It's about making the tool work for you.
You're really in control.
Exactly.
I like that. Like it adapts to you, not the other way around.
Right.
So in that LifeWire article, our 5 favorite online flashcards of 2025, they talked about audio pronunciation,
Oh, yeah.
which seems really helpful for learning languages.
Absolutely. And there are even decks with images and videos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you're more of a visual learner.
There's something for everyone.
Exactly.
That's really cool. But, even with the best flashcards, sometimes it's hard to focus,
Oh, tell me about it.
especially with all the digital distractions these days.
Oh, it's so true.
Have you ever struggled with that?
Oh, all the time.
I remember I tried this app once. I think it was called Forest.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
You plant a virtual tree, and it grows while you're focused.
Right.
My tree died within minutes.
Oh, no.
It was brutal.
Hmm.
But it showed me how hard it is to stay on task.
Yeah, it's a real problem, I think.
It is it.
We're just bombarded with stuff all the time.
So how do we deal with that?
Well, there's this idea of mindfulness.
Okay.
It's about being present, being aware of your thoughts and surroundings, and making an effort to stay focused.
It's not just about an app. It's about changing your mindset.
Yeah, I think so. An app can help, but it's really about developing that discipline.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got flashcards and focus, but what about something even more advanced, like virtual reality?
Oh, yeah.
Is it just hype, or can it actually change the way we learn?
I think it's definitely more than just hype.
Really?
Yeah, it's still early days, but VR has so much potential.
In that way?
Well, there are tools like Nearpod VR and Merge Cube. They're being used in classrooms already.
Wow.
You can explore the human body in 3D. You can walk through ancient Rome. You can do virtual science experiments.
Without blowing anything up.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It's pretty cool.
But is it really that much better than just watching a video or reading?
Well, it all comes down to how our brains work.
Okay.
We learn best by actually experiencing things.
Oh.
And VR taps into that by making you feel like you're really there.
So it's more engaging.
Yeah, and when you're emotionally invested in the experience, you remember more.
Wow, so it's not just about making learning fun, it's actually more effective.
I think so.
That's amazing, okay. So much cool stuff to think about. But I have to ask, where does AI fit into all of this?
Ah, yes, AI.
It seems like there are so many AI-powered study tools popping up.
Yeah, it's definitely an area that's growing super fast.
But what does it actually mean for us, for students?
Oh, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Think about Adobe's Acrobat AI assistant.
Okay.
Now imagine, instead of just highlighting text in your readings,
Right.
you can feed all of your course materials, all of your notes, to this AI.
Okay.
And it can pull out the key themes and create summaries for you.
Wow.
It can even generate practice questions based on the material.
Really?
It's like having this personalized tutor
That's amazing.
who can analyze tons of information
Yeah.
and tailor it to your needs.
So cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But part of me wonders, if we rely on AI too much, could it become a crutch?
That's a good point.
Shouldn't we be working on our own critical thinking skills?
Absolutely. I think that's where digital literacy comes in.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly? Digital literacy.
Well, it's about being able to really evaluate online information, understanding how algorithms work and what their biases might be, even knowing how to protect your privacy online.
So it's about using these tools carefully.
Exactly, not just accepting everything they give you.
I see. So it's not about rejecting technology. It's more about,
Using it thoughtfully.
yeah, using it wisely.
Yeah.
But there's so much out there. Where do we even start?
Well, I think it starts with looking at your own study habits.
Yeah.
Like, how easily distracted are you
Oh, very.
by notifications and things like that?
Oh, yeah. I'm constantly checking my phone.
Do you find yourself multitasking a lot?
Oh, yeah. I'm the multitasking queen.
But actually, multitasking isn't that great for our brains.
Really?
Yeah, it can make it harder to focus and learn.
Huh. I never thought about it like that.
So one thing you can try is creating a dedicated study space,
Okay.
like a tech-free zone where you can really concentrate.
So, like, put my phone on airplane mode.
Exactly. No notifications, no distractions.
That almost seems radical these days.
I know, right?
But it makes sense.
It's like a digital detox for your brain.
I like that.
It gives you the mental space to really learn deeply.
Yeah, okay. So no multitasking, create a tech-free zone.
Exactly.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
But then how do we use technology to actually help us learn?
Right. Well, that's where those tools we talked about earlier come in.
Like flashcards in VR.
Yeah. Think about how you can use them to support your learning.
So use flashcards to review key concepts.
Yeah.
Use VR to experience something I'm learning about.
Exactly.
But how do I know which tools are right for me?
That's a good question. I think it depends on your learning style.
Okay, so like if I'm a visual learner.
You might prefer tools with lots of images and videos.
Right.
If you're more auditory.
Like I love listening to podcasts.
Yeah. Then you might want to find tools that focus on audio learning.
Okay, so it's like finding the right study buddy.
Exactly.
But in the digital world.
That's a good way to put it.
And don't be afraid to try different things.
Yeah, experiment.
See what works.
Exactly. And that's the great thing about technology these days.
Yeah.
There's so much personalization.
I can really make it work for me.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach anymore.
This is so cool, but what about those of us who feel like technology is already taking over our lives?
I hear you. It's definitely a balance.
Is there any way to escape the digital overload?
I think there is. It starts with changing how we think about technology instead of letting it control us.
Right.
We need to start seeing it as a tool that we control.
Okay. But how do we do that?
It takes practice, but it's like training a muscle.
Okay.
The more you practice mindful technology use,
Okay.
the stronger those digital muscles become.
So it's like anything else, the more you do it, the
Exactly.
more you get at it.
Right, and then you're better equipped to handle all the changes that are happening.
That makes sense. So we've talked about individual strategies, but how is technology changing learning as a whole?
That's a big question.
It is.
And there are a lot of different opinions on it.
Like what?
Well, some experts think technology is leading to more personalized learning, where students can learn at their own pace, follow their own interests.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and access information from anywhere in the world.
Right, but what about the downsides?
Well, some people worry about things like increased inequality
Okay.
and a decline in critical thinking skills.
So it's not all good.
It's complicated, like most things.
Right, there are pros and cons.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to talk about these things.
Or to really think critically about technology.
Yes, to make conscious choices about how we use it.
So it's not about just saying yes or no to technology.
It's about finding that balance.
Right. Using it wisely.
And ethically.
Yeah.
And really understanding its power.
I'm starting to see technology as more than just a tool for studying.
Yeah.
It's like this force that's shaping the future of learning.
Absolutely. And that's what's so exciting about it.
Yeah.
We're living in a time of incredible change.
Yeah.
And there's so much potential for education.
Well, this has been such an eye-opening conversation.
I agree.
I feel like I need to rethink how I approach learning.
That's great.
But I know we're not done yet. There's still more to talk about.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface. Yeah, we really have covered a lot of ground.
I know, from digital flashcards to AI and VR.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think about all the possibilities.
It is.
But I think the biggest thing I've learned is that we need to be intentional with technology.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
not just about using the newest thing. It's about figuring out what works for you.
Right. It's about being mindful, being selective.
Yeah, shaping your own digital learning environment.
Exactly. Choosing the tools you want to use, setting boundaries, and just constantly checking in with yourself.
Okay, so it's like, I'm in control.
You're the architect of your own learning.
I like that. But technology changes so fast.
I know, it's crazy.
How do we keep up?
Well, that's where the idea of lifelong learning comes in.
Okay.
Technology is always evolving, so we have to evolve too.
So stay curious.
Yeah, try new things, ask questions.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Exactly.
So if you could give one piece of advice to our listeners who are ready to start using technology to study smarter.
I would say just dive in.
Yeah.
Explore all the different tools and strategies that are out there.
Okay.
Find what excites you, what makes learning fun and engaging for you.
What makes you want to learn?
Yeah, and remember, it's your journey, you know?
It's personal.
It is. What works for one person might not work for another.
So find your own path.
Yeah, find your own rhythm and never lose that sense of wonder.
I love that. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
I feel so inspired to try some of these things out.
That's awesome.
And to all of our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We hope you learned some new things about smarter studying in the digital age. And most importantly, we hope you have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time.